character name, Helryx, leader of the Order and the Crimson Wave. Originally debuted March 2011. Overall look and changes. I never expected to have to make this video, but due to some exciting new developments in the Bionicle community, here we are. This is a follow-up to my previous MOC Spotlight of Helryx, which you can watch by clicking the iCard in the top corner of the video. Since making that video, Bionicle writer Greg Farshty has given the go-ahead on new canonization contests that are now being held on the TTP message boards. It's been nearly a decade since I created my own version of Helryx, so there was no way I'd miss the chance to make an impact on Bionicle G1's canon. If you remember, I wasn't entirely satisfied with this MOC in the last review. That's why I've heavily revamped Helryx and pretty much fixed the issues I had with their last version. Now I can safely say I'm satisfied with how Helryx looks, even though I still don't consider her my best MOC. As well as revamping her design, her Crimson waveform has been greatly improved. I've rearranged the color layering, moving the dark red to the front and greatly reducing the amount of silver. These improvements to the color scheme were sorely needed, and really go to show how important good color distribution is on MOCs. Here's a comparison of how far Helryx has come since her last review. Character Bio. Titles and Occupations. Helryx is a Toa of water, and the first Toa ever created. She was one of the few Toa brought into being as a Toa, therefore she's classified as an ancient Toa. Her power level far exceeds that of an average Toa of water. She was once a member of the Hand of Artaka, where she led her own Toa team that consisted of other powerful ancient Toa, and the first Toa of Peace, Nomi. After the Hand of Artaka disbanded, Helryx founded the Order of Motunui. She now serves as the unwavering leader of the Order, and occasionally embarks on missions herself. In her downtime at the Order's headquarters, she writes and updates records on every being the Order comes into contact with. These Order of Motunui files are stored with Helryx's other writings in the Order's massive library. Personality. Helryx has the personality of a natural-born leader. She is usually calm and fair, but can be strict and commanding when necessary. Part of her strengths as a leader stem from the fact that earlier in her life she was struck by an alternate universe spear of fusion, which separated the light and shadow of her spirit into two separate beings. Helryx had very little shadow in her spirit, so the being that was separated from her was small and weak. However, it survived and would later grow into the being known as Flandrix, who is essentially Helryx's antithesis. Helryx and Flandrix's relationship is complicated, to say the least. Flandrix was responsible for killing Kafu, a member of Helryx's Toa team, as well as a huge number of the Order's early members. It was this massacre that forced Helryx to begin recruiting Toa and Matoran to the Order. Later in her life, Helryx began developing powers similar to Flandrix's, and this greatly changed Helryx's personality, possibly for the worse. Abilities and powers. Helryx is, by nature, a stronger Toa of water than average. As the first Toa ever created, she's also the most experienced Toa of all time, which makes her a real force to be reckoned with. Like all Toa of water, she can create, control, and absorb water, as well as channel healing energy, but her elemental power is seemingly limitless. She has even been witnessed summoning enough water to simulate the crushing depths of the deep ocean. Helryx has a pair of wing-like fins on her back that greatly improve her swimming ability. They also grant her the ability to fly or glide short distances. Water brings life, and therefore creation, meaning the opposite of creation is destruction. In her Crimson waveform, Helryx gains the element of destruction, a new elemental ability which is the same element her sister Flandrix controls. It allows her to expand and compress matter at will. While she isn't too experienced in this ability yet, she has learned how to force objects to implode and to fire expanded particle blasts. Important possessions. For her Toa tools, Helryx carries her signature mace and shield. They're designed to be very hydrodynamic, allowing her to easily use them in combination with her elemental powers, as well as underwater. After transforming into her Crimson waveform, she swapped out her shield with one of the heavier style, as she slowly transitions to using her water elemental powers less and less. Helryx wears a Kanohi Gungnir, the Great Mask of Psychometry, which allows her to learn details about the past of any object by making physical contact with it. Depending on the results of the canonization contest, the mask on screen may or may not have been reforged to change its appearance in my story. MOC Analysis. Inspiration and Theme. This is my version of Helryx, a canon Bionicle character who, at the time of this recording, doesn't yet have a canon appearance. However, the results of the ongoing canonization contest are going to change that, meaning this MOC has a chance of becoming her canon appearance, at least in LEGO form. Helryx's described appearance in canon is that of a frail and ancient Toa of water. Greg Farshty has also stated in forum posts that her frailty comes from battle damage rather than age, and that he imagines her to have a Toa Mata-style build. Takanuva is also stated to have not recognized her armor, so these statements kind of conflict a little. Also, in her first appearance, it almost sounds as if Takanuva mistakes her for a Makuta at first.
She was not Makuta, but she was indescribably ancient and disturbingly frail in appearance. Her mask and armor were pitted and scarred from 1,000 battles. She looked like a Toa, but her armor and mask design didn't resemble anything Takanuva had ever seen before.
Keeping all this in mind, my Helryx does take a few liberties, but could still fit that description. I tried to make her look like an extremely powerful Toa of water who is well armored for battle, but not bulky. Since damaging parts is not allowed in the contest, you kind of have to imagine her armor is scarred and damaged, but I do concede that the CCBS shell's textures don't really help my case here. The fins are another place I took some liberties, although it is indeed canon for Toa of water to have fins. I imagine as the strongest Toa of water, her having fins is more likely than not. Finally, as is the case with all my MOCs, I took some inspiration from a Toho project character in my version of Helryx, most notably in her Crimson Wave version. That inspiration being Remilia's Scarlet. Remilia is the main inspiration for her fins, as well as the addition of red to her second form. Obviously, this means Helryx uses Remilia's theme, Septette for the Dead Princess. Helryx's version of this theme is a violin rock remix performed by TAMUSIC. MOC Features. Helryx has connection points in her hands that allow her to hold her mace. She also has connection points on her lower arm to mount her shield. Her Crimson Waveform's shield has a loop of chain pieces that her hand can slot into. As well as that, both versions of Helryx can store her mace and shield on her back simultaneously. Both forms of Helryx stand 9.5 inches tall and 4 inches wide. MOC Articulation. Both forms of Helryx have 28 points of articulation overall. She has full ankle mobility, a 45-degree knee bend, full hip mobility and armor that moves out of the way, a very small flex in her waist, an average range of neck mobility slightly hindered by the Kina helmet, a decent range of posability in her shoulder pads, full shoulder mobility, a full swivel and slightly less than 90-degree elbow bend, full wrist and finger mobility, and double-jointed wings. Interesting building techniques. Helryx's head design is tightly packed with Technic parts to allow for the connection to the Kina helmet on the back. In order to attach the eyes, a rubber band has to be threaded through some Boruck eyes and stretched around the rest of the construction. Her hip armor is mounted onto some rubber Technic pieces, which allows for the armor to move out of the way in certain poses. Her chest armor also has a small amount of system held underneath with friction to add extra detail and to fill in gaps. Notable flaws. Her new arm design is much better than her previous one, but it brings a slight problem to the table. Her shoulder armor now sits a tiny bit higher, making her shoulders look more buff than before, and also creating a small gap above the upper arm. This problem can be slightly resolved by pushing the shoulder armor all the way forward, at the cost of some posability. Fun facts. Helryx was originally my first ever female MOC. She also uses a new variation of my simple custom torso design, which smooths out the sides of the torso by replacing the Technic connector with a Boruck eye. Overall thoughts and criticisms. Alas, the entry period of the Helryx contest has ended, and the voting has begun. Like I said before, I never expected to need to make this video, but I'd do anything for the chance to affect Bionicle canon in any way. My version of Helryx has come a long way, and the push for these contests was the inspiration I needed to fix and finish her. I can now say I'm proud of how she looks, and even if my version fails to win the contest, I'll be keeping her around for years to come. Whether you like my version of Helryx or not, please consider voting in the canonization contest for whichever MOC you like best. This is a great opportunity for the Bionicle community to make their impact on the G1 canon, so if you're a fan, please do your part. And if you consider my MOC for your vote, thank you. We've reached the end, so what would you rate this MOC out of 10? Any questions about the build or the character? Leave your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, thanks for watching. Hey everyone, the voting period for the Helryx canonization contest has begun. Please, go participate in the vote via the link in the description. It's completely free to make a TTV message boards account, just be older than 13 and read the rules. Vote for whichever MOC you like best, and please consider my version of Helryx for your vote. Also, make sure to share the vote with as many Bionicle fans as you can. The more participation we get, the more widely accepted the results are going to be. Thank you for your consideration, and thanks for watching.